Is Casper really that friendly of a ghost, or has he been eating too much of the blueberry cereal? You be the judge. I got a question for you all. Do you believe in ghosts? Have you ever experienced one before? It'd be interesting to know. For someone like me, all I can tell you is that I am on the mixture side. On one hand, I like hearing me a good paranormal story. On the other hand, when I look at videos, photos, it's very freaky, spooky, but also fascinating. But at the same time, though, I like to see if it's debunked. Some people go out of their way to do tests, recreate that photo or video of said particular figure that's in it, or some sort of encounter that transpired. If it's if they manage to debunk it, then it's debunked and it's fake and it's for views. If it's actually real and they can't debunk it, then there you go. There's some proof that ghosts do exist. But what happens if you end up meeting three ghosts who come off like the Three Stooges and they have various personalities that is just lovable and enjoyable, and they have themselves a little nephew that they do take care of, well, that is underneath their care, but he is a friendly ghost. He's nice. He don't want people being scared of him anymore. He just wants to be accepted and loved. Comes to find out that there is such a wish for this little ghost. Now, Casper is a nice little movie. It's a very enjoyable, and you can say somewhat of a dark film that has like its own origins that happens, which I will get to. Now, the story is about a woman named Kerrigan who is a feisty, narcissistic, spoiled ass woman who ends up getting a deed to Whipstaff Manor up in Friendship, Maine. Her assistant Dibs, Eric Idle, Monty Python, he ends up recovering the scroll from the fireplace, claiming that there is treasure in the house. Keep that in mind, supposedly. She hires Dr. James Harvey, who is a therapist for the restless spirits. He's asked to remove the ghostly trio, Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky, that infests the house with their quirkiness and their personalities that just love to fuck with the living. On the other hand, you have our main attraction, Casper the Friendly Ghost. Once he sees Kat, who is Dr. James Harvey's daughter, he befriends her in the most shy and humble way possible, trying to let her know that don't be scared of me, I'm not going to hurt you. All I want is a friend. So you got a couple things going on in this movie that is just very touching, very weird, but at the same time very touching because the thing is, sure, the movie starts off very enlightening. It has that fun, it has the humor, it has the laughs. But as the movie progresses more and more, you start to understand exactly who Casper is, and then there is a origin story that happens with him. You realize that Casper, he was once living. He was a young boy. He goes over his life of what happened to him, how he ended up becoming a ghost. He talks about his family. He talks about living in that big ass manor. He talks about the concept of a machine that brings him back, that will bring somebody back to life. He talks about what it was like, being alive and then crossing over to where he's at right now. So you got an origin story that goes on, and it does get pretty dark along the way. Same thing with the story with Kat, because the thing is, Dr. James Harvey, even though he is being asked by this evil ass woman to get rid of these spirits, there's also a story going on with him to why he is being a therapist for the spirits, because he's not over his grieving wife. So there's quite a bit of things going on in this movie that really do take a dark turn, but there's just so much enlightenment. The melancholy feel is there, but there is an enlightenment of hope that you just sense when watching this. So I have to give a lot of props to where when you're watching this, even though for the first time, sure, you're thinking like you're going in to watch a quirky film, Sure, it may come off that way in the beginning, but as the film progresses, you start to realize that this shit's getting pretty fucking dark. But it's fascinating because Casper, you're literally creating an original story for this particular ghost. Now, besides making this even though this film does have some adult content, some sort of swearing, some very, you know, crazy jokes that is targeted for adults. I mean, this film literally comes off for adults, without even actually making it too obvious. But when you take that story with who Casper is and you're able to take that and turn it into like some sort of original concept, like actually turning into the whole entire movie an original story of who he is, what his background is, you probably could have had something with that of making a full blown movie. But that's just wishful thinking coming from somebody that would be very interested in it. So besides the whole origin story with Casper, you got all the personalities. You got Casper. You got the fucking Three Stooges ghostly trio. You got Dr. James Harvey. You got Cat. You got all these personalities that just have their own reasons, that have their own story, and they all just get along very well as the film does progress. So very nice personalities. Kerrigan, she was one of the things that I honestly didn't give a damn about in the film at all, let alone the movie starts off with her in an office, receiving the deed. I just didn't give a damn about her at all. I mean, she's one of those characters when you are watching her on the screen, you just don't care at all. There's no importance with her seeing on screen. I personally didn't care. I cared about the other stuff once they were in Whipstaff Manor and actually getting to the main attraction, what the movie's about. I mean, it was nice seeing Eric Idle portraying a little small role there. I'm used to him doing the Monty Python stuff, but he did a little bit of a, funny slash serious role in this picture, so it was nice seeing him in that. But then again, I could care less afterwards. Uh, but there's two things about this movie that I just am blown away with. It's the whole musical score, for one. It's melancholy, it's dark, it's beautiful, nice little chimes. My God, the music for this movie is just fascinating. And the whole entire set itself with the Whipstaff Manor, using Friendship, Maine as your main area. The views, the shots itself, where you're getting that glimpse of the whole nature aspect of seeing Whipstaff Manor, especially when you see that sunset glistering. Oh, very beautiful. And I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite shots of the film is where Casper and Kat are literally sitting at the top of the lighthouse having a talk, and you're just seeing the ocean, you're seeing that starry sky, you're seeing them send the light. Oh man, that is just one of those shots where it just sits with you and you just can't get over the amount of beauty that is right there. I love the spookiness of taking the concept of a haunted house and turning it into a very nice little setting. A really interesting story, lovable characters besides the villain. It's a nice movie overall. So Casper is a movie that I personally give a 3.5 out of 5 to. It's a nice movie. It's not like one of the best movies out there in the world, but it's one of those films to where on Halloween or just in general, you want to watch something that'll just touch your heart and get you interested with a story that takes a turn. This is definitely one of those movies that you just get a little interest in. You get entertainment, you get seriousness, uh, you get a coming of age type concept that's going on because Kat, as a teenager, she is going through the motions of what it's like being a teenager, falling in love with boys, dealing with bullies, transferring from one school to another, trying to be accepted. There is a coming of age concept that is going on in this movie. So I have to give props for that, especially with Casper being jealous of her seeing another fella where clearly he wants to be with her because he likes her. That coming of age element is there in this film and it's very touching. So you got that element, you got the entertainment, you got quite a bit of stuff going on in this movie that is just, it's harmless. So that's all I can necessarily say about Casper, ladies and gentlemen. If you have seen this movie, let me know down below your thoughts. And ciao for now.